one of the things we're watching for is turnout. We had the Secretary of State
Right.
saying they'd have like about 322,000 people turn out. You have America for Prosperity saying it's going to be more. And so the larger the turnout, the better for Nikki Haley, who's got to have a
Right.
perfect night in order to move forward.
Will Democrats turn out? Will Republicans turn out for the governor of South Carolina?
You know, I don't know at this point. The poll
We don't
numbers
know.
still have, we don't know the poll. If you believe the polls, Republicans are going to come out for Donald Trump. He's ahead double digits. To win New Hampshire, though, you have to win those independents and moderates. So that is really what we're watching for. Right on that southern border of New Hampshire, for instance, she's really going to have to replicate what John Kasich did in 2016 and do it even better. So that's really the game here. We're 36 hours to go. And so she is got 5 campaign stops today. She's pushing hard to get this going.
And Paul, for our international audience on YouTube and CarPlay, southern New Hampshire is called North Boston.
North Boston, exactly.
Thank you.
So, Jeanne, realistically, what does Nikki Haley have to do today to remain relevant in this race?
What she has to do is she has to get the support of independents and moderates in enormous numbers. And it is why most of us are saying a perfect night for her is really, really hard to imagine given the polls at this point. And it's not just the polls, it's also the endorsements. When you look at Donald Trump's endorsements, we forget, but in 2016, at this point, no senators in the U.S. Senate had endorsed Donald Trump until February. He now has the most institutional support of any non-incumbent running for a primary in the modern era. So these are enormous odds against Nikki Haley. Is it doable? Yes. We all know New Hampshire loves surprises. Just ask Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, John McCain. But it's still a really, really uphill battle for her. She has, this is the demographic. If she's going to win anywhere, it's going to be New Hampshire.
If she does not have a perfect evening in New Hampshire, what does the Republican landscape look? How do they proceed through November?
I think if she doesn't win, I think it's possible she stays in this thing. We've heard some talk about somebody staying in through the convention, given all the lawsuits and everything else with Donald Trump. But the reality is, if she doesn't do well here, if he cleans the board like he did in Iowa, it's hard-pressed to imagine she does well, even in her home state of South Carolina, where the demographics look much more like Iowa than they do New Hampshire. And so I think if night goes Donald Trump's way, he has locked this thing up and they will move forward as if he is the presumptive nominee for the party.
Jeanne, you're a student of this. And what it comes down to, and I don't want to get all historical, 1858 and 1860, but the state of the Republican Party. Now, we don't know what the health is of the two presumptive candidates and all that, but just give us the state of the Republican Party after Super Tuesday, indeed after the conventions.
I think one thing we have to acknowledge is that the Republican Party today has now been redefined by Donald Trump, and he has a lock on it as far as we can tell. Because if you look at these never Trumpers, of which now Haley has become the poster child, those people in this race have done very, very badly. You look at Chris Christie, you look at Asa Hutchinson, you look at the others. So, the question in my mind is if we get through Super Tuesday to the convention and beyond, the Republican Party is going to be the Donald Trump MAGA party. And the question is, to combat him, do you have to go outside to the no labels and others?